Welcome to Western Door Paranormal Studies. My name is Tony Burtis, lead investigator and your host. And this is the Ledge Lawn Cemetery in Newstead, New York. Now, all in all, Ledge Lawn Cemetery is not really that big of a cemetery. It's located right off of Main Street, just outside of Clarence, New York, and just going into Pembroke. It has burials from a lot of mixed areas, all the way from 1800s, 1900s to what I've noticed, some more modern burials. Now, from what I can tell from looking around this smaller cemetery, there's a lot of military burials. We will be taking photos of their stones and acknowledging them as well. It doesn't seem like there'd be a lot going on in this cemetery, yet it does have a reputation for paranormal activity. Now, of course, it has the usual reports. The reports of orbs, those photos mostly taken at night. That's when you tend to get those types of pictures anyway. Also, there has been reports of unknown lights actually emanating from the cemetery. Seeing that this is a daytime investigation, that is going to be a little harder to do. Although I have gotten daylight orb photos before. Now, today is roughly 80 some odd degrees. One of the reports from this cemetery is it does get repressively cold, like right in the middle of summer. That could be spirits attempting to manifest themselves. We'll see if we can actually get proof of that during the time that I'm going to actually be here. So if I do get cold spots in this cemetery, it could be a significant sign of paranormal activity. Also, in the fields just beyond here, at one point, there was known UFO activity, where a UFO actually landed not too far from here. And what that has to actually do with the haunting, I don't know, and I simply don't expect to come across any UFOs here today. Now, the big report out of here is the feeling of being watched, especially from along the wood line. People say they see a bearded older man watching them from the tree line. Now, it could be a local checking out people that are walking around this cemetery, making sure they're doing no harm, or it could be the restless spirit of someone who is actually buried here. Those are the things that give this cemetery its haunted reputation. It is said that when you leave here, the feeling of being watched actually will follow you, and it's kind of pretty hard to shake. So far, I'm not getting that feeling, but I'll be here for a little bit, so you never know. There's a lot of older stones here and a lot of old broken stones. Could the spirit in question be someone kind of protesting the fact that their stone is in disrepair? It's hard to say. It's a possibility. The things I'm looking at with this investigation here, I'm right next to Main Street. So there's going to be some contamination from the cars going back and forth. That won't hamper any EVPs, hopefully, however. There does seem to be some music coming from beyond the tree line. So we're going to have to be able to differentiate when I review the evidence between a real EVP and possibly music lyrics. That should be pretty easy to do. I'm going to be here for roughly an hour or so, so we're going to see if I can actually come up with evidence of a haunting at Ledge Lawn Cemetery. Okay. The device I'm holding here is a form of K2 meter. It's actually called a ghost meter. Now, it picks up electromagnetic fields in basically 3 different ways. There's lights up here that will light up. There's a dial right here that starts at green and goes all the way to red. It's very similar to the actual lights on an old school K2 meter. Plus, this device here also will make an audible alarm when it comes across an electromagnetic field. So when I'm walking with this device here, as I'm about to do through this cemetery, if any of those things go off, it could be significant, except for by the high tension wires that I'm going to actually illustrate. That would be easily explainable as non-paranormal. So we're going to take a walk with this meter through this cemetery and see what we can pick up. Any one of the devices that I'm actually walking around with and talking to, you can feel free to walk. Now, one thing I've noticed, a lot of cemeteries I've done like this, there is actually pretty good, strong, high-tension wires going right along Main Street. So when I do my K2 run, I do actually expect to find high readings coming from that side. I'm going to do it anyway to make sure that, you know, that's exactly what that is. I'm going to see how much that bleeds into the cemetery. Now, what that could cause is two things. That could attribute to the feelings of being watched easily. It also could make it easier for a spirit that actually might be roaming here to manifest. So we're going to definitely keep that in mind when I do my my electronic sessions with my K2 meter. Okay, now these are the wires I was talking about. A lot of the cemeteries I've done, I've came across these, and they emit a very high EMF field. The main wires are pretty low, so let's see what this does to the meter. Alright, at this point I'm right directly under the wires and I'm almost into yellow, which is something that I actually expect. So we're going to walk this. Also, if there's anyone here who wants to communicate with me while I'm doing this, please feel free to do so. I'm not here to harm you. I'm here to communicate with you and get your story across and prove that you are actually here and see precisely what you're looking for. So I'm right under the wires, and it's actually a little surprising that I'm just still straight up in the green. I'm also keeping an even pace, so I'm not jarring it. Anybody here want to talk? Yeah, someone's partying. They would party today. I'm just starting to touch the yellow barrier, but this is no surprise once again because I'm right under the wires. I'm very eager to see how this, let's see if I bring this. Okay, that's actually a surprise. I brought this right up to the wires and it went right down to nothing. I'm bringing it down closer to the ground and I am seriously in the yellow. Now, I don't know if that means I have underground wires here at all, which is a possibility because I'm still right on top of these wires. So I'm not... Okay, now I'm getting the lights on and I'm going closer to red. Once again though, I'm really, really close to these wires. Let me go up. And it's going down to nothing. I'm bringing it back down to the ground. So I could be dealing with underground cables. Same goes here. Me with this device. It's a lovely little cemetery. Seems peaceful. There's a lot of stories. We have some peace and quiet. It helps the cause. If you like the quiet at night, maybe. Alright, I'm here again, Ledgelawn Cemetery. I have my ghost meter right here. Hope you can see it, kinda. Yeah, okay. So it's right there, right now it's in the green. There's no EMF, nothing going on here. I have that, I got the camera rolling. I have my voice recorder that I've had going for this entire time. So, and I'm sitting here by what I consider 1, 2, 3, possibly 4, maybe active grave sites. And then beyond that, there's kind of a bunch of just like thrown around stones. I can't really tell if this is from when they might have just moved broken stones and had to put them somewhere and didn't turn them into sidewalks. What happens in these neck of the woods sometimes. Or vandals. Could be anything. Basically, I'm pretty much getting ready to wrap up my session here. I will note that the meter kind of is now in the middle green. It was not in the middle green before. This could be anyone's last chance for a while to communicate with somebody, to have a chat with somebody in this cemetery, especially if you're a spirit and you're roaming around here, startling people, haunting people, whatever you do. So I'm looking for you to give me a sign of your presence. This is it. Because this down. It is now almost impossible to get my phone out of my pocket. Yeah, it's going for 5 o'clock, so I'm getting ready to wrap this up so I can go home. And I'm hoping that somebody here spoke to me. If not, now's your chance. This is basically the last interview. Anybody here want to give me a sign of their presence? Anything whatsoever? Come up to me, tap me, give me your name. Speak into this device here, speak into the camera. You can walk up to that ghost meter. It's not going to hurt you. The meter will go all the way to red. If you're here, that's how I know. Now, I was only there for a few minutes, and according to my equipment, I got an EVP immediately. EVP is electronic voice phenomenon. That's where you get a disembodied voice on a recording device. Of course, I was there with all my gear, and I had my voice recorder going. Now, I had asked initially if there was anyone there who would like to hear their story or have their story told, and I got a emphatic no. Check it out. Any spirits here want to communicate with me, please feel free to tell me your name, your story, and why you're here. At this point. Now, this is another example of a spirit trying to get my attention now. As with most EVPs and things like that, you're not always going to hear it at the time that it happens. Actually, when it does happen in a case like that, it's no longer an EVP. It's more of a paranormal event because you're hearing it in real time. I kind of wish I could do that a lot more because I get a lot of voices trying to reach out to me and I can't hear them and I don't actually pick up on it until I start going over my evidence. Now, this particular voice says, hello. Now, I honor and respect all of our veterans, and when I'm in a cemetery like that, or any cemetery, if I see a flag that's knocked over or anything else amiss, I'm going to go ahead and attempt to fix it, and normally I can. Now, there was a GAR marker, which stands for Grand Army of the Republic, and it was knocked down. It was behind a lot of shrubbery, so I went in there and I was straightening up the marker so people could see it and could recognize that the person entombed there was actually part of the Grand Army of the Republic. Now, while I'm doing this, I get an EVP. It's a strange grunt. Now, the only thing I could possibly think of is the person thought I was just messing with the marker. Of course, I was fixing it. So I'm hoping right now that spirit's rather grateful. Hopefully, this helps change that somewhat. Now, when it comes to EVPs and things like that, not all the voices you're gonna get are gonna be clear. Sometimes it's almost impossible to figure out what the spirit is trying to convey. These next two audio clips are examples of that. I get two voices that I don't know what it's trying to say, but it's clear that there's definitely some spirit trying to communicate. And I can only hope one day that I can actually figure out what it's trying to say.
What?
Now, VVP stands for Video Voice Phenomenon. It's just like an EVP, except you're getting a disembodied voice on a video recording device. Now, this one is another example of a voice that I couldn't quite make out, so I'm going to file it as unidentified. But this time I got it on video. So check it out and let's see if you can figure out what it's saying. Now this next VVP is both exciting and unnerving at the same time. It gets what I figure is a scream. Now, of course, I was the only one in the cemetery, and I definitely heard nothing like this the whole time I was there. And the cemetery is small enough where I could see everything around me. So if there was someone screaming like that, I would have heard it, picked up on it, and investigated to see where it was coming from. So this scream actually is caught on VVP. Kind of creepy. Check it out. So, Ledgelawn Cemetery. Is it haunted? Well, I definitely have enough EVPs and a couple of VVPs to conclusively say that there's something going on in the cemetery. Did I get evidence of the Watcher, who's the main spirit there, who gives the place kind of its claim to fame? Not that I know of, unless he was one of the voices that was trying to get my attention. UFOs? Well, clearly not. I didn't get any apparition pictures or anything like that. Now, I might have been touched a few times, but there was a lot of insects also flying around, so I can't fully rule out that that might have been what happened there. It was a very hot day. I didn't get any of the cold spots, so I can't throw it out because this stuff doesn't happen all the time to everybody, but it's something I didn't get to experience. Now, the feeling of being watched, I didn't really get that either, and certainly if I didn't get it, the feelings of being watched didn't stick with me on the way home. So, at least when I was there, the claims that have been put out really didn't line up with what I experienced when I was there. I'm not saying that what I experienced was him or not, you know, being the Watcher or any other spirit in question. I guess we'll never really know that one. Ledgelawn Cemetery is one of the more known haunted cemeteries in Western New York. It's a small cemetery. There's a lot of history there. So if you're going to go, check it out, look at the history and honor the veterans of all the wars that are definitely buried there. So, in conclusion, Ledgelawn Cemetery, is it haunted? Well, again, EVPs and VVPs say yes.